Hey guys, tonight we step into a storm so thick it hides more than snow. It hides memory. It hides names. It hides someone who shouldn't be here, but already is. You came to this mountain cabin to be alone, to rest, to forget. But what you find waiting for you is a sound. A drum. Not loud, not rhythmic, just present. And it doesn't come from outside. It comes from under the floorboards. If you've ever felt the past show up in someone else's voice, if you've ever tried to run from memory only to find it left breadcrumbs for your return, then tonight's for you. Like and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The wind hits hard at 5,000 feet. You parked 3 miles down, snow too deep for tires, too crusted for ease. By the time you reach the cabin, your coat stiff and your breath sharp. You unlock the door with a key that doesn't feel like yours anymore. Inside, quiet. Stale air and cedar. You close the door, slide your pack off your shoulder. Then you hear it, not loud, not musical. Just a beat, one. Then another, slow, dull, muffled. You stop. Listen. It's not the wind. The rhythm comes from beneath your boots. You press your heel into the floorboard. Stillness. Then, thump. 3 seconds later, thump. You crouch. Place your palm to the boards. Nothing moves, no vibration. Just the strange sense that something below you is aware. You whisper, "Hello?" The stove clicks. You spin, startled, but it's just the metal cooling. You exhale, shake your head. "Long day," you mutter. You toss a log into the firebox, light the kindling. Soon the room warms. You make tea, settle into the old armchair by the window. But that sound, still there, faint, like a heart not your own. Later you find your hand resting on the journal. It's been here since your first visit, left by the prior owner. Never read it, didn't want to. Tonight, you open it. The first page is blank. The second, not. 3 words, centered in ink, faded to smoke. You are here. You flip to the next, blank, next. A sketch, crude, a cabin. Not this one, but familiar. A tree beside it, bent from wind. Your grandmother used to tell stories about a place like that. You used to dream of it. You shake your head. Close the book. But your name lingers behind your eyes because the writing, it's familiar. Too familiar. It looks like yours. The storm deepens overnight. Snow slides against the windows in waves, soft and steady, like someone breathing just outside. You sleep in the chair, waking every hour to the same sound. Thump. Always under the floor, never changing, never louder, never gone. By morning the fire's out, the kettle cold, and the footprints by the hearth are not yours. Small, bare, damp. You follow them with your eyes across the wood, toward the edge of the rug. Then, nothing. They end. Right before the trapdoor you didn't know existed, you kneel, brush dust from the floor. There, an iron ring. You hesitate, then lift. The hatch creaks open, and beneath it, darkness. Not threatening, just waiting. You shine your flashlight down. No ladder, just packed earth, maybe 3 feet down. A root coils through the center like a resting snake. You close the door for now. The second time you hear the sound that day, it's not beneath you, it's behind you. From the hallway, 3 slow beats. You walk to the bedroom, push the door. There, curled on the bed, a boy, maybe 8, maybe 10, hair damp, hands folded. He's asleep, wrapped in a quilt you don't recognize. You whisper, "Hey." He doesn't stir. You move closer, and then you see it, clutched to his chest. The journal. Yours? No, not the one from the table. Different cover, same size. You kneel beside him, touch the spine. His eyes open, dark, steady. He says, "It's yours now." then closes them again, falls back asleep. Like it's nothing, like it's always been this way. You return to the fire, restart it. Try not to look toward the hallway. Try not to think about how he got here. No boot prints, no knock, no trail. But his presence is as real as the steam rising from your cup. You open your journal. The page with your name has changed. Below it, a new line. He remembers the sound, even if you've forgotten it. You trace the words, ask the room, what sound? But you already know, the drum, the one that started under your feet. Now it's closer, not physical, but unmistakable, inside your chest. Your breath falls in time with it, slow, heavy, certain. You close the book and feel the cabin exhale around you, not ominous, just listening. You watch him sleep for a long time. The boy doesn't stir, not when the wind knocks loose snow from the roof, not when the logs shift in the fire, not even when you whisper his name. Though you haven't been given one, you sit by the stove, journal open, pen untouched. The last entry remains. He remembers the sound. Even if you've forgotten it, the words feel like more than a line. They feel like an instruction. You run a hand along the edge of the page, then turn it. The next is blank, at the bottom, in small print. Begin again. You close the book, stand, and return to the hatch. This time you open it without hesitation, slide down, land with a soft crunch of dirt and root. You crouch, waiting for the sound. It doesn't come. But something else does, a warmth. You look to the wall. Faint symbols carved into stone, not language, rhythm, 5 marks, then a space, then 3 more, then a spiral. Your heart matches the spacing. You touch the wall. The stone is warm. You whisper, "Who made this?" A breeze moves past your shoulder underground. You follow it with your light. A tunnel branches left. You walk it. Bent, careful. It ends in a rounded chamber. At the center, a drum. Small, hand-carved, wrapped in animal hide, set atop a folded blanket. You kneel beside it, place your hand on the surface. It's not cold. You lift it, turn it over. A name is carved on the bottom. S. Reeves. You freeze. That's your last name. But the S isn't you. It's your father. He died before you turned 15. Died without telling you anything about this place. But now, his name is here, on a drum you've never seen, in a place you weren't meant to find. Until now. You bring it upstairs, set it by the fire. The boy is awake. He looks at the drum, then at you, says, "It's been quiet too long." You ask, "You know what it is?" He nods. "It's the part that didn't burn." You sit beside him. Ask gently, "What's your name?" He shrugs. "Not mine to keep." Then reaches for the journal, hands it to you. A new line appears as you touch it. Names return when they're needed, not before. You run your thumb over the text, close the cover, and understand. He didn't come with a name. He came with yours. And that's what the mountain remembers, not you, but the part of you that someone else is still carrying. The storm settles into something heavier, not louder, just more certain. Like the wind has stopped asking and started remembering. You light the last of the kerosene. The cabin glows amber. The boy sits by the window, tracing fog on the glass with one finger. The drum rests between you, untouched, but present. You open the journal. There's a new page already written. You don't remember writing it, but the pen still sits warm beside you. The drum isn't played, it's answered. You close the book and ask the boy, "Do you hear it now?" He nods. All was at night. You listen. Only wind, but beneath that, something soft, like a heart far away. You make food from what's left in the cabinet, dried beans, salt, a bit of coffee from an old tin. The boy eats like someone used to hunger. Afterward, he speaks again. "You weren't supposed to come alone." You ask, "Who was I supposed to bring?" He shrugs. "The one who didn't leave when you did." You know who he means, and you don't want to say their name, not yet. You sit in silence, watch the fire die to coals. The journal sits open. The page shifts without wind. A name appears, not yours, not the boy's, but theirs. The one you left behind. The one who never wrote back. The one who said they'd meet you at the ridge and didn't. You whisper the name, and the drum answers. One low note, from nowhere, from within. The boy doesn't flinch. He just nods. That's the beginning. You move to the hearth, place your hands on the stone. There, scratched deep and nearly hidden, your initials beside theirs. You trace the curve. Your breath slows. Then something in the back of your mind unlocks. You remember a night 15 years ago. You and them. Here. Before it burned, before it changed, before the snow came like judgment. You hadn't spoken about that night in years, maybe ever. But now, the room wants the truth. You whisper, we fought. The drum thuds once. We buried the journal, thud. We said we'd come back. Silence. Then, thud, thud. You look at the boy. He says, one for each promise. You close your eyes. Say, only one was kept. He says, then the mountain's still waiting? You don't answer. You just open the journal and begin writing what you swore you'd never put to page, the part where you walked away and the part where they didn't follow. The snow doesn't stop, but something shifts in how it falls, less frantic, more measured, like it knows you're finally telling the truth. You write late into the night, each line heavier than the last. You don't correct your mistakes. You let them stay. The journal soaks it all in like dry ground after a drought. The boy sleeps on the floor now, closer to the fire, the drum beside him. Your old coat draped over his shoulders like it belongs to someone he hasn't met yet. You set the pen down, stare at the last sentence. I left when they needed me to stay. You don't add punctuation. You don't need to. The silence that follows is its own closing. You wake early, the boy already at the window. He turns, eyes wide. They're coming. You move to the glass, nothing but white, snow falling sideways in thin sheets. Who? You ask. He shrugs, but his voice is sure. The ones who remember your name. You dress, pull on boots still damp from the day before, sling the journal into your pack, take the drum. The boy doesn't ask where you're going, he just follows. You trek northeast, up the ridge line, toward the trail no one maps anymore. You used to walk it with them before the silence, before the burn. The trees thicken, the storm fades, not in volume but in tension, less wind, more still. You reach the clearing by noon, a circle of stones, a carved bench, a marker, half covered in snow. You brush it clean. No name, just a symbol. A spiral inside a broken ring, the same one carved into the journal's back page. The boy says, they stood here before you. You nod, kneel, place the drum at the center, and sit beside it. You ask, why did they stop calling? He says, they didn't. You stopped listening. That one lands deep. You exhale. Open the journal. On the inside cover, a new message has appeared. Not all returns need apologies. Some just need fire. You look up, light the match, strike it on the stone, set it to the small pile of cedar bark the boy collected without you asking. The fire catches fast. The wind doesn't fight it. The heat climbs slow. Then the drum beats once, not struck, spoken. You feel it in your ribs, and just above the wind, a voice, low, not quite your own, calling your name, not to accuse, to welcome. You don't answer the voice at first. You just sit there, knees drawn up, firelight brushing your face, trying to believe what you heard. It wasn't an echo. It wasn't the boy. It was your name, spoken with memory, and something older than forgiveness. The boy doesn't look at you. He stares into the fire, like he's listening to something you're not yet ready to hear. You whisper, what now? He says, write what came after. You open the journal. A new page waits. You begin. The fire burned the cabin, but not the reason it was built. You stay by the fire for hours. Snow piles in rings around the stones. Smoke rises lazy into branches. The boy stacks kindling, feeds the flame, moves like someone who's been here before, or someone who's only ever known this. By mid-afternoon, your hands ache from writing, but the words don't stop. You write about the promises made by the hearth, about the letter you never sent, about the sound of silence on the day they didn't come back. You don't explain, you just record, as though they already understand, as though the mountain will carry the rest. When the fire finally dies, you don't rebuild it. You gather the ashes, place them in a tin, seal it with cloth. The boy takes it without question, slips it into your pack beside the journal. You both descend the ridge in silence. Snow falls softer now, the air less sharp, but the feeling in your chest, heavier than ever. Not burden, knowing. You return to the cabin as the first light fades. Inside, the lantern glows low. On the table, a letter. You didn't leave it. It's addressed to you, handwritten, your name, first and last. No return, no stamp, just a seal pressed in wax, the spiral ring. You break it open. Inside. If you've made it this far, it means you listened. It means you stayed. And that's all we ever needed. You set the letter down. Let the words find their place. Then you whisper the name you couldn't say before, the one you've kept tucked behind every page, their name, the one who left or who you left. You say it aloud. And the drum thuds once, just once, but enough. The boy looks up, smiles, then says, "It's open now." You don't ask him what open means. You already feel it. Something in the cabin has shifted, not the walls, not the air, you. Like a latch inside your chest was quietly lifted. The boy returns to the fire, rekindles it from memory and flint. You watch. Every movement deliberate. No wasted motion. No fear. Like he was born here. And maybe he was. You sit beside him again. Not close. Not far. Just near enough to hear him breathe. He says, "They'll come now." You ask, "Who?" His answer is soft. "The ones who remember." At dawn, you wake to a second journal. It's resting where your coat was, same size, different feel. Its leather is darker, smoother, worn from other hands. You open it. The first page is written in a script you don't recognize, but the message is clear. We walked through fire. You walked through silence. Both reached the same place. You flip the page. There's a sketch of you, seated at the fire, the boy beside you, the drum between, your breath catches, not because it's perfect, because it's true. Even your posture, even your eyes. Someone drew this last night, someone who saw. You turn to the boy. He's holding something now, the ring. You didn't bring it. You left it buried on the ridge, but it's here, in his hands. He says, they never wanted to keep it. You ask, then why bury it? He answers, so you'd know how to come back. He places it in your palm. It's warmer than it should be. You close your fingers around it. Feel its weight settle into you, not as a burden, as a compass. You slip it onto your finger. It doesn't fit, but it holds, like it knows you've changed, like it's ready to be carried again. That night you write again. Not for the mountain, not for the journal, for yourself, for the you that left, and the you that stayed. You write, I thought silence was survival, but silence was where I left them behind. You don't sign it, you don't need to. The page carries your voice now. The boy leans his head on your shoulder, says nothing, but it's enough, because now the cabin doesn't echo, it absorbs, and the mountain outside, it's listening, finally. The next morning the boy is gone, not vanished, just not inside. You find the door cracked open, snow untouched, a path that wasn't made by boots but presence. You follow it, past the well, past the cedar tree, up toward the bluff where your breath always catches in the back of your throat. At the top, he waits, sitting on the ridge edge, legs swinging like it's summer. You sit beside him, say nothing. He doesn't look at you, he just says, it's time to go. You nod, not because you understand, but because your chest already knew. You pack slowly, leave the journal, take only the letter. You place the ring back in its box, set it on the mantel. by the drum. Together. Not for you anymore. You open the cabinet, leave the fire starter and 2 folded blankets in plain view. Whoever comes next shouldn't have to search. You write one final note on the doorframe with your knife. Here is where I stopped running. And then you step out into the snow. The boy walks ahead, not fast, just far enough to know the way. You follow. Boot prints light, not pressed down, almost lifted, like the earth wants to hold you softer than before. You reach the clearing, the one with the marker, the one you cleared 3 nights ago. Now it holds more. Another bundle, another ring, another letter. You kneel. Open it slowly. She came back and left this for you. She didn't stay, but she saw that you had. You close your eyes. Let the wind carry that truth. It doesn't sting. It roots. You bury the bundle. Not because you need to hide it, but because it's done. You plant the ring in the soil, place the journal on top. Let the snow cover both. And whisper, "You're home now?" The boy takes your hand, and for a moment you see him not as he is, but as he will be, older, illustrious, alone, writing, waiting, the way you once did, the way someone after you will. You squeeze his hand. Say, "Don't carry what isn't yours," he says. "I won't, but I will remember." You nod, and the wind changes direction, just once. A final shift, from silence to return. You descend the ridge slower than you climbed it. Each step feels like turning a page, not to rush, but to read with care. The boy walks ahead, not guiding, not testing, just making room, as if he knows this last stretch belongs to you. The trail is different now, not cleared, not new, just known. You recognize the branch where you once dropped your pack out of anger, the curve of the hill where your partner said they'd wait, and didn't. But the ache that lived in those places, it doesn't follow. It stayed with the ring, with the fire, with the wind that carried your name without needing to return it. You reach the lower trail near noon. The storm has eased. The mountain exhales. And in the clearing ahead, a figure, tall, still, facing away. The boy stops, looks at you. Go. You walk forward, boots sinking softly into the memory between you and whatever waits ahead. The figure doesn't move. But something in your ribs shifts. Not fear, not grief, readiness. You reach them. They turn. It's not who you thought, but somehow it's exactly who it should be. A woman, older, worn, holding a journal with no name. She offers it without a word. You take it, open to the first page, blank, but not empty. Ready. You nod. She nods. Then turns and walks the way you came, back to the mountain, back to the boy, back to where stories fold into one another. You remain alone again, but not abandoned. You sit on a fallen log. Open the journal, write. The name I carried wasn't mine, but I gave it shelter until someone came to claim it. You close the book, slide it into your pack, and walk downhill, toward the world that once sent you here to forget, but now waits for you to return, remembering. The trail flattens out. Your boots find rhythm again. No more climbing, no more breath caught in your throat. The trees thin, the snow softens, and the sky opens above you, no longer gray, just pale and wide. You step into the clearing where your truck waits, half buried, frosted windshield, tires like stone, but still here. You brush snow from the door, climb inside, breathe deep. The silence inside the cab isn't the same as the mountains. This one feels man-made, lonelier. You pull the journal from your coat, hold it in your lap, then open the glove box. Inside, the old key, the receipt for the first night you booked the cabin, and a photograph you forgot was there. You lift it slowly. It's you and them. Back before, arms crossed, smiles crooked. The mountain in the background. You'd both sworn never to return, and yet here you are. One did. The other sent something better. The engine stirs after 3 tries, grumbles, catches. You don't drive yet, you just sit. Let the warmth creep through the vents. Watch the trees one last time. Then you hear it, the faintest beat. Far away, not behind you, ahead. You turn your head. Nothing but road and ice. But the rhythm continues, steady, low. Like a pulse you forgot you had. You smile. Put the truck into gear and follow it. You don't head home, not yet. You take the longer road, past the overlook, past the frozen lake, past the mile marker with initials carved so deep no snowfall has ever erased them. The journal rests on the seat beside you, still closed, still warm. You glance at it, then whisper, "I'm still listening." And just before the road curves, a gust of wind rushes past your window. Inside it, a voice you know, soft, grateful, not saying goodbye, saying, "Now you're ready." You drive until the sun fades. The road winds downward, gently, like the mountains letting you go without protest. You pass pine groves dipped in twilight, empty mailboxes, fence posts leaning from years of weather. None of it feels distant anymore. It all feels like a language you forgot how to speak, until someone reminded you it was still yours. You pull into a gas station by the valley floor. Old lights flicker, no other cars. You step out, stretch. The cold's gentler here, less spiritual, more human. You fill the tank. Go inside. The bell above the door chimes. The clerk behind the counter looks up and smiles. You headed back down from the ridge? You nod. She pours a cup of coffee before you ask, sets it on the counter. Her hands are old, steady. She says, "Snow's not the same up there, is it?" You shake your head. She nods like she's heard that before. Maybe said it herself once. You take the coffee, say, "Thank you." She glances at the journal tucked under your arm, says, "First time you wrote something that wasn't about surviving?" You pause, then nod. She smiles again, then says something you'll carry longer than the coffee's warmth. "Well, don't forget to live in it, too." You leave the station, sit in the car. Hold the journal in your lap again. This time you open it, turn to the last page you wrote. Blank now, somehow erased, but not lost. Because the feeling is still there, the weight of it, the truth of it. You write, "I didn't survive the storm. I let it pass through me. And what stayed, that's what I'll keep." You close the journal, set it in the passenger seat, look out the window. The stars are starting to show. You turn the key, drive slow. Let the road teach you where it's going. The road curls out of the mountains like thread, unspooling from an old spool. You drive with the window cracked just enough to hear the wind hum. No music, no talking, just the sound of forward motion. And behind it, something softer, like breath or memory. You reach the edge of town before you realize where you're heading. Not home, not yet. Your hands turn the wheel before you think to stop them. The truck eases down a dirt path you haven't driven in years, past the rusted mailbox, past the willow that split in half during the storm of '09. You stop in front of the house, empty now, but still standing. You sit in the truck. Watch it. Watch the porch. The door that doesn't close without lifting. The window you once crawled through when things felt too tight. The journal rests on the seat beside you. You don't open it. You know what it wants. But this visit isn't for writing. It's for saying what you couldn't before. You step out, boots crunching gravel. You climb the porch steps. They groan just the same. You knock, out of habit. Even though no one answers, you reach for the knob. The door opens, not because someone let you in, because it was never really closed. Inside, the air smells like pine and dust. You walk room to room, finger the picture frame still sitting face down, the ashtray by the window, the chair that always wobbled left. You sit in it, look around. Then, pull out the journal, turn to a new page and write, "I blamed this place. But it wasn't the house that held the silence. It was me." Yeah, you tear the page free, fold it, place it on the mantel. You don't sign it. It doesn't need a name. Only truth. You leave without closing the door, let the wind do it, if it chooses to. You spend the night at the edge of town, motel off the highway. One key, one bed, one lamp that flickers when the fridge hums. You lay the journal on the table, stare at the blank page, but don't write, not yet. You let the silence stretch long, not empty, just wide, room enough for what's coming next. You wake before dawn, the sky still dark, your boots cold, your breath visible inside the room. You sit up, open the journal. There's writing already on the page, not yours, not in your hand, but familiar. The cabin held your memory. The house held your silence. Now find the one that holds your name. You whisper the sentence once, twice, then close the book and drive. You take back roads now, avoid the highways. Let your body remember what your mind forgot. Old turns, old fences, old towns. You pass a sign for Black Hollow, population 146. Familiar. You stop for gas and coffee. The woman behind the counter doesn't ask questions, but as she hands you change, she says, "They still drum up there, you know." You pause. She nods toward the ridge. That sound comes through some nights. Low, steady. You ask, "You ever go up?" She laughs. No one goes up. People wait for the ones who come down. You don't answer. You leave. Drive on. Midday, you reach a fork. Left goes to the county road. Right disappears into pine. You take the right. The map doesn't show this trail, but the journal does. You checked it last night. One small hand-drawn path, labeled only with a name, where I remembered who I was. You drive until the road ends. You walk the rest. Uphill, thick with brush. Your coat catches on limbs. Your boots sink into last season's moss. Then you find it. A cabin, small, quiet, built from old wood, repaired with care, smoke curling from the chimney. You don't knock. You wait. Then a sound. From inside, soft. 2 beats. Then silence. You smile. Whisper, "I hear you." And the wind shifts, just enough to carry something like an answer. You step to the door, raise your hand, then stop. Because you remember now, this isn't the kind of place you knock on. This is the kind of place that already knows you're here. You rest your palm on the wood, close your eyes, feel the grain, the rhythm of the wind against the siding. A soft creak from inside, like a chair shifting under someone rising slowly. You lower your hand, and the door opens. He stands there, older, gray in his beard, eyes tired but kind. He doesn't say your name, doesn't have to. He just nods and steps aside. You cross the threshold. The warmth hits you first, then the smell, cedar smoke, something herbal steeping in a pot. The cabin is clean, lived in, but untouched by time. Your eyes catch on the mantel. 2 things rest there. A folded scarf and a familiar ring, the one you buried, the one the boy returned. You take a breath, and he finally speaks. You carried it longer than you had to. You nod. Say nothing, just step toward the fire. You sit across from him. He sets 2 mugs on the table, doesn't ask if you take sugar, just places it there like he remembers. The silence stretches. Not uncomfortable, just old. He leans back, says, "I tried to write you once." You nod. "I know." He gestures to the journal you placed on the table. That one answered back. You smile, soft, grateful, then ask, "Why didn't you come down?" His eyes drift toward the window. Snow falling again, quiet as sleep. Didn't know if I was still the kind of man worth meeting. You nod once, then slide the journal across the table. Open to the last page, blank. But pulsing with invitation, you say, "Start here." He doesn't touch the pen, but he looks at it long, then back to you, and says, "I remember the sound now." You say, "So do I." And outside the wind doesn't howl. It sings. The snow keeps falling. But the cold no longer bites. It wraps instead, gentle, soft. Like the mountain has nothing left to prove. The 2 of you sit by the fire, not talking, not writing, just being. The kind of quiet that only exists when a story has settled. Not ended, but settled. You close your eyes. The drum isn't beating anymore, because it doesn't need to. It only ever called when the silence got too loud. Now, the silence is full, warm, shared. Later, you open the journal. One last page left. You write slowly, not to be careful, to feel every word. I didn't find my name on the mountain. I left it there, so that whoever comes after will know how to begin. You sign it with just your initials, then close the cover. The leather soft beneath your palm. You slide it onto the mantel, next to the scarf, next to the ring. The man stands beside you now, says nothing, but nods. You both know what comes next. Not the leaving, not the goodbye, the resting. In the morning, the fire is out. But the room is warm. Light seeps through the frost-edged windows. The storm has passed. You brew coffee, pour 2 mugs, one left on the table, one in your hand. The man steps outside first. You follow. The trail behind the cabin has been cleared. You didn't do it. He didn't either. It was the wind, or the memory. You walk to the edge of the clearing. Look back only once. The cabin sits in shadow and sun, balanced like a place that holds both memory and mercy. You whisper to the wind, "If you find this place, don't knock. Just listen. The door's already open." Then you walk, not down the mountain, into it. And the mountain breathes you in like you've always belonged.